This is the Cool Meanderings with Dr. Germ G podcast. Thanks for listening. Welcome back to Cool Meanderings with Dr. Germ G. I'm your host, Dr. Germ G, an aspiring writer, an educator, lover of sports, comics, movies, culture, and all things fun. Well, okay, most things fun. Anyway, I'm your host. I'm back for another episode on Saturday, a brisk Saturday afternoon at the end of November. Today is November 30th, the last day of the month. Today is actually the birthday of Mark Twain, and novelist Mark Twain, whose work I probably am not as familiar with beyond Huckleberry Finn and Tom Sawyer. But he's written some interesting stuff, turns out. One work there's one work called the focuses on what he calls the Gilded Age, and this is a post-Civil War in America, and it's a loosely fictitious writing about the ways that people get on with life after the Civil War, basically dealing with the politics and how the things can get tricky from a political level. It's interesting historical fiction. Anyway, so happy birthday to, posthumously anyway, to Mark Twain, and happy holidays to those of you that are celebrating Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving weekend. Yeah, it's pretty awesome. Here in America, we're celebrating the long weekend. Those that are fortunate enough to have a Friendsgiving or a family Thanksgiving, congrats to you. And man, it was cool. Had a good time with folks. We ate some turkey, chilled out. All was well. I'm feeling a bit optimistic despite some of the rumblings that have been going on of late. Obviously, the election came and went, and shockingly, but not really shockingly, we're having a second serving of Trump. That's right. President Donald J. Trump is coming back to the White House after roasting Vice President Kamala Harris quite resoundingly, winning both the popular vote and the Electoral College. I mean, wow. But I'm not shocked. But as I said in my previous episode, neither option was great, but I'm not shocked by the outcome. Harris was not a great candidate. Trump had a lot of momentum. He cleared the field in the primary, so it is what it is. Kamala didn't have a primary for one reason or another. It was a mess. And Trump, he outlasted her. He outlasted everyone. So now we have to wait and see what's coming. And my guess is we can reference 2016 to get some idea. 2016 to 2021 or 2017 to 2021. That should give us some idea as to what we can expect. Yeah, a little bit of adjustments here and there. And now that he's got, a few years under his belt, one administration under his belt, he's got a second opportunity. We'll see what Mr. Trump tries to do or intends to do or is able to do. Presumably, he's going to have control of both chambers, but we'll see how much control he actually has. Republicans have a pretty solid majority in the Senate. I believe it's 53 to 47. And in the House, it's a bit slimmer. But nonetheless, we're going to have a Republican-controlled Congress, Republicans in the White House, Republicans in the Supreme Court. So we'll see. We'll see what comes of that. We'll see what they actually do. Because they'll have basically 2025 is the year for them to make whatever moves they want to make, because 2026 everybody's running for re-election. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Should be fun. But yeah, in general, I'm also pretty hyped for what's coming with sports here. I've been keeping up with the college football season, and I have to say, the playoff hunt has been interesting. It's been interesting to see a number of two lost teams and three lost teams still in contention to be in a college football playoff. And if it's like any other playoff, once you're in, it's anyone's game. But that will be the test. Like, once the 12-team playoff is set, is it like a true playoff in that, two teams get on the field, anything can happen? Will we get any upsets? Will we have a high seed beat a low seed? Will we have one of the top four with the bye get upset, or more than one? Those are the kinds of things that I'm excited to find out. How much of a apple cart turner is this playoff going to be? Are we going to have an unlikely Final Four as a result? If we do, then you know what? The playoffs is success. That means that the NCAA, or at the very least college football. Let's make the distinction clear. College football will have, I think, a pretty good product. They'll have a pretty good product. They'll have pretty good ratings. Yeah, and hopefully some excitement going into the next college football season. Let's see. Maybe a Boise State or an SMU or one of the Big 12 teams, takes it to the SEC or takes it to the Big 10 in a way that we didn't expect. Or maybe an unlikely champion arises like a Clemson, or I personally think Miami's overrated, but we'll find out today. They're playing Syracuse. If Miami beats Syracuse today, then they're in the ACC championship game against SMU next week, which they could win. I tend to think that SMU and Miami are evenly matched. So we'll see. I historically have not been a fan of Notre Dame. I always felt as a kid that Notre Dame was force-fed on us through the media. Them having all of their home games on NBC and just the whole mythology of Notre Dame, right? Notre Dame football. But I have to say, the last couple of years, even with Brian Kelly, you had to respect how tough of a team he tended to put on the field. But these guys are, under Marcus Freeman, they are really, bare knuckle tough. I think Notre Dame has a legitimate shot of not only getting to the Final Four, but actually winning the thing. I think Notre Dame could match up with anybody. I'm watching Georgia Tech in Georgia last night, which was a great back and forth game. Georgia Tech got up early. The Georgia Bulldogs came back late, and they go into an 8 overtime just slog fest, and it was great. It was great for TV. Lots of excitement, lots of angst. Because after the way the rule works for college football, both teams get a shot at their 25-yard line. And if both teams score a touchdown, which they did, then you have to first you score a touchdown, and then you get to kick the extra point. After that, you score another touchdown, then you have to go for 2. And once you both accomplish that, or fail to accomplish that, then you have 2-point conversions. And so last night you had both teams get a touchdown, extra point. Then both teams get a second touchdown, but not make the 2-point conversion. And then for the rest of the evening, it was just 2-point conversions. And eventually Georgia won out. They won out 44-42. So, but my point is that looking at how physical the 4-loss Georgia Tech was, 4-loss team now, Georgia Tech. They were throwing the Bulldogs all over the field. And I just thought, the only other team that I've seen that looks as physical as Georgia Tech is, there are 2. I would say Michigan is very physical. They just don't have a quarterback. But Notre Dame is very physical up front. I mean, I think they can run roughshod over any team in the field, any of the teams that are vying for the title. I know Oregon's undefeated. I don't know how they beat Ohio State. Quite honestly, they absolutely deserve to be the unanimous number one, because when you look at them on the field, the Oregon Ducks they just look small. They look overmatched, but they have won every game. They've got on the field and beat everybody, run through the Big Ten. They beat Boise State, who is in line to be one of the top four. So the Oregon Ducks are definitely the number one team, but I don't find them to be a very physical team, especially compared with Ohio State, who is, they're a hybrid. But yet, Oregon's number one. So, but I think if Notre Dame were to go head-to-head with even Oregon, I'd give them a shot. I would give Notre Dame a shot. I like Notre Dame's chances. I think they're going to go deep into this playoff. I think they're going to crush USC tonight, which is not that big of a feat at this point. USC is 6-5, and then they're just going to run through the tournament. They're going to, whoever they face, wherever they have to go, I think it's going to be win-win, and then they're in the top four, and we'll see what happens. Yeah, but that should be fun. And the NFL playoffs, we only have 5 games left. I think the teams are. They're coming up now on, many of the NFL teams are coming up on their 12th game. Kansas City, they eked out another one against the Raiders yesterday, so now they're 11-1. The games on Thursday were awesome. Well, okay, they were okay. I should take that back. The first game was awesome. Detroit versus Chicago. This was on Turkey Day, and it didn't start out that way. I mean, it looked as if the Detroit Lions were going to blow out the Chicago Bears. But then Jahmyr Gibbs, who's on my fantasy team, he fumbled at the goal line, and there it went. But it went from being a blowout to a nail biter, where somehow, some way, just breathtakingly, the Chicago Bears found a way to give the game away. I thought they were going to take a timeout and try for what could have been a 58 to 60-yard field goal. And unfortunately, I had the Bears kicker on my fantasy team this week, so it was a painful one. But more importantly, the Bears, and rightfully so, but the Bears' former head coach Matt Eberflus, I don't understand what happened, but he just chose not to call a timeout. I mean, I didn't get it. And the look on his face at the end of the game just suggested that he himself didn't understand why he didn't call a timeout. It was just a bizarre ending. It was really uncomfortable. Oh man. So it's no surprise that he's no longer the head coach of the Chicago Bears as of, I believe, yesterday, November 29th. So, but overall, though, I think the NFL season's been interesting. The Pittsburgh Steelers are looking pretty good, although they lost their most recent game against the Cleveland Browns. They've had a few extra days to think about it, and they should probably beat the Cincinnati Bengals tomorrow, I would imagine. I would imagine that Mike Tomlin has probably got them extra motivated to go out and take one from the Bengals, because at 9-3, they're still in front of the Baltimore Ravens in the AFC North. They have the head-to-head win. So, and I think they're going to need it, because they're probably going to lose the next matchup with Baltimore a few weeks down in Baltimore. So they're going to need this win against Cincinnati. They're going to need to see Cleveland and beat them like they should have beat them a week or so ago. And then it'll be the Ravens, and I believe they get the Eagles as well. Oh joy. That should be fun. And the Kansas City Chiefs. And the Bengals once more. So, fun times ahead for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Fun times ahead. At the very least, they'll have another winning season. I predict that the 8-3 Cincinnati, I'm sorry, the 8-3 Pittsburgh Steelers. No. The Cincinnati Bengals are not having a winning season. But I predict that the Pittsburgh Steelers will have a winning season as they are now 8-3, and it only takes one more win to have a winning season. And I think they'll get at least one more win in that gauntlet of games that they have left. I think they can take at least one from Cincinnati, and they should be able to beat Cleveland. That will give them 10. But then after that, let's see, you have a second game with Cincinnati, another game with Baltimore, Philly, Kansas City. Hey man, if you can go 2-2, wonderful. Even 1-3, that puts you at 11-6. You're in the playoffs. You're probably not a division winner. I would imagine that the Steelers would be delighted if they went 4-2 in the division, meaning that they sweep Cincy. Maybe they give one to Baltimore, or vice versa. Maybe they split with Cincy and they sweep Baltimore. I think they got to sweep one of those too. And so I've taken a personal interest in Pittsburgh, mainly because, well, for two reasons. One, I'm fascinated with the longevity of Mike Tomlin in an era of rotating coaches throughout the NFL. I mean, because sure, I mean there've been 3 head coaches, right? The Steelers have had 3 head coaches, if I'm not mistaken, 3, or maybe no. They've had 3 during the Super Bowl era. Yes, they've had 3 head coaches during the Super Bowl era. Right. So that's Chuck Noll, who coached for over 20 years, right? From the late 60s until the early 90s. And then he was replaced by Bill Cowher, who coached for about 14, 15 years. And now we've had Mike Tomlin since the 2007-2008 season. That's 16 years. 16 years. So, I would say that's pretty good in an era where coaches may last 4 or 5 years. And, and look, if the Niners can continue to win, then soon Schottenheimer will be able to say that, he's, well, I don't know how he'll feel about it because he continues to get painfully close to the Super Bowl, but no success. So, but my guess is that San Francisco will keep Schottenheimer around because, did I say Schottenheimer? Oh man, no, not Schottenheimer. I'm thinking of the other coach's son. I'm a little frustrated with my Niners right now. But I'm thinking of Shanahan, Kyle Shanahan. Yes. I confused Kyle Shanahan with Brian Schottenheimer. But both coaches' sons have, well, one is obviously doing better than the other in terms of coaching. One is a head coach, the other is a coordinator. And Shanahan has had a pretty good record with the Niners. I mean, if he had at least one Super Bowl win, it would be a great record. But without the win, he's had 2 appearances in the last 5 years, but no win. So, hey, what are you going to do? I suspect that the streak of making it to the NFC Championship game is probably over this year for the San Francisco 49ers. I suspect that this is probably not the year that they're going to get back to the NFC Championship. But that's okay. Next year is another year. The last time they lost to the Chiefs, it took them about a year to get over it. The Chiefs beat them back at the end of the 1920 season. And then it took an entire year of injuries and implosion for the Niners to come back strong in 21-22. And and since then they've been on a roll. I mean, coming ever so close, 2 years in a row in NFC Championship games, losing to the Rams and Eagles, before finally making it last year back to the bowl, only to lose again to those pesky Chiefs. Those pesky Chiefs who are, by the way, right there once again. I know they lost to Buffalo, and everyone loves Josh Allen. Yay, Josh Allen, American hero, the new face of the league. Well, I think the Chiefs are still right there. I think when the playoffs roll around, we'll be singing the praises once again, unfortunately, of Kansas City. Now, I think they'll represent the AFC in the Super Bowl, but I'm not certain. I'm not certain that they're going to actually win it. It looks right now like it's Detroit's chip. It's Detroit. It looks like it's Detroit's chip to have. They look like a team of destiny, but watch out for those Philadelphia Eagles. Saquon Barkley is he is playing on a Madden level. He's just off the charts. Like, he's putting up video game numbers week after week, and it's just, I'm stunned. I'm delighted that Penn State actually has a successful, viable running back. After all these years, they actually have their first successful, viable running back since maybe Larry Johnson. Yeah, Larry Johnson was good for a few years with Kansas City. But I think Saquon is, if Saquon can keep this up for another year or two, we're talking about a potential Hall of Fame career. But for this year, I like Philadelphia to give Detroit some problems. I think the Eagles may surprise. I know that Minnesota and Green Bay are right there with Detroit. But I tell you, I would keep my eye on the Philadelphia Eagles. They've got something to prove, man. I think they're, after their implosion at the end of last season, I think the coach, the QB, the team, and Barkley himself, because he had an okay career in New York with the Giants, but I think he was viewed somewhat as a disappointment, even though he was productive enough to command a free agent contract that probably was a little bit below, and I'm being facetious here, was well below his worth. But that's the running back market now. Anyway, I think the stars could be aligning for the Philadelphia Eagles, but we'll see. Yeah, so I'm optimistic. Optimistic about and thankful for the things that we get to enjoy. We get to enjoy football and all of its glory, and watching these different teams emerge and develop. And yeah, it's fun. I'm also thankful for friends and family and for opportunities just to get here on the mic and meander about topics with you or for you. Those that are listening, I appreciate you. Thank you for your listening ear. Thank you for your subscription. And definitely, if you haven't already, take a few minutes, take some time to let people in your life know that you appreciate them and that you care for them, and that you're thankful. You're thankful for them being in your life, and you're thankful for having this time together that is so precious and really unpredictable. So much of what we plan and organize seems logically well structured, but the truth is, we just don't know from day to day. We don't know how much time we have or how well our lives are going to be. You make your plans, but then things happen. Limbs last as long as they can, but then they give out. The eyesight is there, and then it goes. The hearing is there, and then it goes. I mean, things come and go. So, let's just, if you can see the sun out your window, if you can feel the air, if you can hear that child whining and bugging you, you're blessed. You're very blessed. If you can feel the pain in your toes or your ankles as you're trying to walk, hey man, you're walking. That's fantastic. We just have so much to be thankful for. I know that things look a little bleak with what may be coming, but this isn't the first time that things have looked bleak. Yeah, things may be uneven, but at least we're around to see it, and we're around to be in a place where we can have the kinds of debates and discussions about our quality of life in a world where there are many places where those conversations they're an afterthought. They're not even in people's train of thought because of the basic needs that exist in many parts of the world. Just the basic needs. So I'm thankful to live in a country where I can sit in an office and look out at the trees as the leaves wither away, and see the kids playing and skating and riding their bikes and chasing your dogs, and families heading out to spend money they don't have. And yeah, man, I'm thankful. I am. Well, if you're still listening, I appreciate you. I appreciate your interest in my meanderings, and I want to wish you and yours a very happy, very wonderful holiday weekend. Until the next episode, I'm out. This is the Cool Meanderings podcast with Dr. Germ G.